Write everything you know about this picture. So first of all, what is that a picture of? What do you guys think? Yep, good, Angelina. It's a picture of DNA. It's a DNA strand. Good, so everybody knows what it is. What else do you know about it? What do you think? It's a double helix, good. It has a double helix, nitrogen bases, good. Angelina, genetic code, good. Desiree? ATGC, yep. It's made of a bunch of letters. We'll learn about that today. All right. Now the next picture. Who remembers what that is from chapter 3? And what is the relationship between DNA and that picture? So that's not a whole cell, it's a part of a cell. What part is that? It's the nucleus, yep. Good, Paula, good. Angelina, yep. DNA is located in the nucleus of a cell. And that's the nucleus and the nucleolus. Yep, good. All right. Next slide is still bell work because we still have a lot to review that we've already gone over in past chapters. Who remembers the 6 most common elements found in living things? This is from way back in chapter 2. We had an acronym for it, but remember the elements are all found on the periodic table and they're all abbreviated by letters. Yep, good. Schnapps. Carbon, hydrogen, nitrogen, phosphorus, oxygen, and sulfur. Very good. Desiree, good. Angelina? One gave me the full words, one gave me the acronym. Either will work. So 6 most common elements found in living things, schnapps. And then what are the 4 organic compounds from chapter 2? What are we made of? So elements are the single elements, carbon, hydrogen, nitrogen. You put those together, you get compounds, and we are made of 4 main compounds. And 3 of them we eat. Yep, good, Desiree. Carbs, carbohydrates, proteins, lipids, and nucleic acids. Those are the 4 that we studied in chapter 2. So we are going with the 4th one today. We reviewed it a little bit in chapter 2, and I told you we were gonna have a whole chapter dedicated to DNA. This is it. Does anyone remember the monomer of nucleic acids? Good, Angelina, nucleotides. Yep. Nucleic acids are made of monomers called nucleotides. Good, Desiree. And 6 we already said in the last. Number 2, where in the cell is DNA found? Not the nucleolus. That was a picture of the nucleolus, but just the nucleus, yeah. DNA is found in the nucleus. There's a couple other organelles that DNA is found of, but we mostly concentrate on the DNA in the nucleus. And what does it mean when 2 things are complementary? What do we think? They complete or go well together. Yep. Peanut butter and jelly is complementary. Peanut butter and chocolate is also complementary. In my opinion, at least. Just things that go together well. All right. Essential question, how is DNA organized? A key concept, all cells contain DNA as their genetic material. The structure of DNA is the same in all organisms. An organism is any living thing. So whether you're a human or a dog or a horse or a plant or a tree or a bush, all organisms have DNA and all of their DNA look exactly like this twisted ladder formation. And they are all made of the same elements and arranged the same way. DNA stands for deoxyribonucleic acid. It's where the letters DNA come from. The N and the A we knew before, nucleic acid. But there's a few different nucleic acids that we'll talk about in this chapter. The first one, we start with the most basic, the DNA. Nucleotides is the monomer of all nucleic acids, including DNA. That's what we talked about back in chapter 2 when we were talking about monomers and polymers. If you'll remember, the prefix mono means one and poly means many. So monomer is a single link of something. And then polymer is the long chain made of many monomers. But if you break it down further, each nucleotide has 3 parts. They have a phosphate group. There's your P, your phosphorus, out of your schnapps. A sugar called deoxyribose. Sugar is made of carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen in different forms. And sugars end in OSE. So deoxyribose is the sugar that DNA is named after. And a nitrogen-containing base. There is the N of the schnapps. So DNA has 5 of the 6 most common elements found in living things. The nitrogen bases. So the sugar and the phosphate are always the same. We'll talk about that in a minute. But the nitrogen bases, there are 4 different ones. It's where the A, the T, the C, and the G come in. 2 of the nitrogen bases are called pyrimidines. And they are recognizable because they have just a single ring structure. They just look like one ring. In the picture, it's an actual hexagon, but we just call it a ring. We don't call it a hexagon. And the 2 pyrimidines are T and C. T stands for thymine, C stands for cytosine. And we will rarely call them by their full names. We will usually just call them by their letters. The other 2 nitrogen bases are called purines. And they have a double ring structure. They just 2 rings stuck together. And this is the A and the G. A stands for adenine, G stands for guanine. And we'll see when we get into the base pairing rules in a minute that a pyrimidine always pairs with a purine. The 2 pyrimidines don't pair together, the 2 purines don't pair together. It's always a pyrimidine and a purine pairing up. Watson and Crick are the 2 scientists that discovered the 3D structure of DNA. The shape of DNA is a double helix. It looks like a twisted ladder, but in sciencey terms, we say double helix. And if you picture yourself climbing up a ladder, the sides, the part you grab, is called the backbone, and that's where the sugar and phosphate are. And they just alternate, sugar, phosphate, sugar, phosphate, sugar, phosphate. All the way up. And the steps, the part you would actually step on if you were climbing the ladder, are the 4 nitrogen bases. And they are paired in a specific way. Now, Watson and Crick didn't do this by themselves. They built on the picture that Rosalind Franklin took. She was good at taking x-rays. And they actually stole her picture and built on that and didn't give her credit for it for a very long time. But Watson and Crick's work was based on the finding of Rosalind Franklin. Her x-ray images suggested that DNA was a double helix of even width. And in the middle right there, that is her famous picture. It's called Photo 51. And it's basically, if you're looking down the spiral of DNA, you can see all the sides are even. They're completely even. There's not one side that's kind of longer than the other that would make it a kind of oval shape. It's a complete perfect circle. And Erwin Chargaff is another scientist who is credited for discovering some of the structure of DNA. So they named the rules after him, the base pairing rules. So the steps of the letter always pair the same way. T always pairs with A, and A always pairs with T. And then C and G always pair together. And if you need help remembering that, A and T, they're letters that are made of sticks. You got an A, you got a T. The sticks stick together. And then C and G are the curly letters. The curly letters stick together. And these are called complementary base pairs because they go together. Now, based on these rules, on your quiz and on your test eventually, you are going to see questions a little bit like this. So I will ask you, I'll give you a DNA strand. If I give you the DNA strand CTC, based on the rules that are on the board right there, what is its complement? What are the complementary base pairs? Second one, what is the complementary to AAA? What goes with A? And the third one, what is complementary to GGT? The rules are right there. A's and T's always pair together. C's and G's always pair together. So what would you say are the complements of these three short strands? Like I said, this is what your quiz questions are going to look like this week and your future test questions. So you have to know the rules and know which base pairs complement what. Give you guys another 20 seconds or so. All right, so the first one, CTC. C's and G's stick together. So the first C would go with G, T would pair with A, and the last C would pair with another G. So yes, most of you, or 8 of you, got that one right. Second one, if you have 3 A's, A and T stick together. So its complement would be 3 T's. And then the third one, GGT, the first two G's would go with 2 C's. And the T would go with an A. So most of you got that one correct as well. If you did not get these correct, make sure you know what you did wrong.